Mr. Governor, permit me to stand on all fours. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you cordially to the 14th edition of the Town Hall meeting on security with government, with the theme Lagos Security, Resilience in the name of adversity. As it has been a tradition, the Lagos State Security Trust Fund organizes this event annually to achieve the following: render an account of the activities of the fund since the last town hall meeting on security, present the audit report of the fund, provide a forum to the Commissioner of Police, a forum for the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Police Command, to update the public on the security situation in the state, provide a platform for Mr. Governor to share his policy vision on security, and also to obtain feedback for stakeholders and members of the public and advocate for donations to the fund. We're doing this meeting a bit late this year for obvious reasons. COVID and all other matters that have occurred since then. But it's been the most important item that can keep us our well-being as a state. I'm really happy that we can still hold this, and I'm also happy that you could all be here today. Thank you very much for coming. During the past year, and in line with the law establishing the fund, the Board of Trustees of the NSSTN was reconstituted as the tenure of the former board elapsed. That is why I am standing before you as the new chairman of the board. Permit me then the opportunity to introduce other members of the board. Not all of them are present, but if they are present or represented, you could please stand up for recognition. Mr. Sheikh Makaje, who is the current Managing Director, CEO of Guaranty Trust Bank. Mr. Ebenezer Oyebu, Group Managing Director, CEO of Bank. Dr. Nadeshola Karim Adeduto, Group Managing Director, CEO, First Bank of Nigeria. Mr. Emeka Ouka, Partner, Anderson Tax, Nigeria Limited. Mr. Tayo Akimade Aide, Chief of Staff to the Governor of Lagos State. Engineer Paul Omotayo Bangoshe Mountains, Honorable Commissioner, Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations. DIG Agbola Oshodi Glover retired. Dr. Ayo Ogunson, Chairman Executive Group. Otumba Ni Adewumi, Director Global Limited. And Dr. Abdulrazak Balogu, Executive Secretary CEO, NSSTN. As you can see, it's a very representative board. It establishes and shows the partnership between private sector and public sector, and also has a diversity element to the state in terms of people representation amongst the different cultures and tribes we have here. On behalf of the new Board of Trustees, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Governor for the privilege to serve on the NSSTF at this critical juncture. And I'm saying this on behalf of all the directors, all the trustees. I would like to also express our appreciation to our predecessors who sustained the operations of the fund for nearly 13 years. I would like to say that, just to mention before I do the recognition, that I was one of the founding trustees 13 years ago. I'd like to especially recognize the chairman of the past NSSTF boards, Mr. Remima Monjola and Mr. Koye Hassan Oluka, the MFR, for their leadership and ability to keep the flag flying with each board, adding more value to the continued growth of NSSTF. The new board took over the affairs of the NSSTF in July 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic with its protocols and followed by the event SARS unrest, resulting from the legitimate agitation for an end to police brutality. These two events have cumulatively and significantly impacted lives and livelihoods, businesses, public and social interactions in Lagos State and across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent weeks we have witnessed a significant increase in civil unrest, crimes of opportunity, and general disregard for law and order. It is very important to note that all these challenges further widen the scope of the security agencies in our nation, particularly in Lagos. These are indeed trying times, which some people have asserted to be a redefining moment in the governance of our country and the way we do things generally. Against this backdrop, the new board of LSSTF has resolved to sustain the previous achievements made by the LSSTF and to significantly improve the security architecture in Lagos State by seeking to attract the required resources and providing a strong headship and vision for safety and security in Lagos State. In the course of today's event, we shall have the pleasure of getting a first-hand insight into Mr. Governor's thoughts as the Chief Security Officer of Lagos State. The Executive Secretary of the LSSTF and the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Police Command, will speak to the activities of the Security Fund, Trust Fund, and the current status of security in the state respectively. Lagos State is often acknowledged as diverse and multicultural, with a population of an estimated 2 million and growing. Lagos State is a commercial net center of Nigeria and indeed West Africa, a status which comes with its attendant security and social challenges. The security agencies, with the mandate to protect us, are in dire need of critical infrastructure, equipment, training, and logistics. As we cannot wish these away, these realities, there is a paramount need to continue to support the security agents operating in our states to deter, track down, confront, arrest, and prosecute criminals, so that our businesses and social lives can prosper and our families can be safe. The Security Trust Fund has served as a model of private sector-led and transparent private-public partnership for supporting the security agencies in protecting lives, properties, and businesses in Lagos State. Yet, the LSSTF remains underfunded. In fact, the fund has only been able to remain afloat due to the prudence and ingenuity of its management in the application of resources. It would interest you to know that the fund has experienced a drought of donations since the beginning of the year. Though this may largely be a result of the shutdown of economic activity due to the pandemic, it is ironically, more security is required during the pandemic, as we have seen the world over where security agents have been very relevant working alongside medical personnel. I believe that our security architecture will benefit from being driven by more advanced technology, well-trained personnel, and robust equipment. But all these require adequate financial and material resources. We therefore need to act urgently by making donations to the fund to ensure that we secure our state from those that mean us harm. The fund welcomes all donations in cash or kind. I'll repeat that again. The fund welcomes all donations in cash or kind. That's why we're here today. We need money. We will accept technical skills, security, equipment, provided they can be integrated to the system we're developing. Collaborations in areas such as media, repairs, donation, platforms, drive, network, etc. The LSSTF is even more relevant now than ever before, and we need all the help we can get. I must salute our partners who have continued to donate to the fund because they share our vision of a safer Lagos and are committed to achieving it. We also use this medium to call on those that have not made this commitment to an annual contribution to the fund to realize that they need to make that commitment if they truly want a safer Lagos. While I welcome you once again to this event, please be assured that the fund will continue to operate according to the principle of judicious use of resources and proper accountability. Thank you for your attendance and in anticipation of your contributions to the fund. Thank you all.
Can we appreciate Mr. Chairman? Well, one man has been so saddled with the responsibility to oversee the coordination of the engagement of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. It's been a very challenging task, but then it's also the top of the situation. In this regard, I have the privilege and honor to want to welcome to the microphone the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, Dr. Baranda.
Good afternoon, Mr. Logo, distinguished visitors. I join the chairman of the fund to welcome you all to this very unique town hall meeting of security with Mr. Logo. Unique in many regards, as it is the first time we are having such a small gathering of people in this large hall, which is usually too small for meetings, even in the theater arrangements. This already reminds us that things are not the way they used to be. As in every event like this, and to give a concise account of the activities of the Lagos Security Trust Fund since the last town hall meeting, which was exactly a year ago. This year has been characterized with a number of thefts, which have negatively impacted on our security architecture in Lagos State. Notable among the events in the year is the COVID-19 pandemic and the unrest that followed the NSAS protest. These situations reveal gaps in our security system, especially threats posed by gangs, cultists, and unemployed people desperate for survival, as we experienced during the lockdown. Again, several security issues, particularly armed robbery, court-related murders, public disorder, have reared their ugly heads in dimensions not experienced in Lagos since 2007, before the creation of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Unfortunately, a number of private businesses, government assets, and security formations were vandalized and looted, while some people lost their lives during the unrest. And I commiserate with all those people who have lost property and their loved ones during this period. After a concerted consideration of the current situation of our security infrastructure, we realized that we cannot afford to crouch and lick our wounds, but stand strong to rebuild our security system. Hence the theme of today's event, Lagos Security, Resilience in the Face of Adversity. The role of LSSTF since its establishment in 2007 has continued to deliver on its mandate to provide equipment, logistics, and trainings for the police and other security agencies in the state. Contributions from Lagos State government, the local governments, local council government areas, private organizations, and well-meaning individuals. Apart from providing major equipment such as patrol vehicles, communication systems, armored personnel carriers, patrol boats, and all equipment that they require, the fund also provides maintenance, repairs, and consumables routinely for the IRS, being the primary responsibility of the trust fund. And on request for other police and security formations, maintenance being the major expenditure guzzler, hence we have assets that are between 5 to 10 years and still in top shape due to the periodic maintenance and repairs by the trust fund. The fund has engaged various security consultants, participated in security conferences and exhibitions, met with various security solution providers on the creation of surveillance equipment without personnel being on ground, crowd control equipment, etc. All these we've been able to put together in a policy document on security. However, the costs are very high and require the commitment and support of negotiators to keep the state safe. The core values of the fund, prudence, accountability, resourcefulness, and trust, continue to fuel our vision for making Lagos the safest and most prosperous commercial location in Africa, and our mission of facilitating safety and security in Lagos State. Ernst & Young are external auditors to the fund, and are here today to present their opinion on the 2019 audit of the fund in line with the statutes of the fund. Please note that an agreed version of 2019 audit report is in the brochure circulated at today's event, while the full audits and that of all previous years since inception are on the fund's website. You can see them on lsstf.lagostate.gov.ng. To date, the fund has continued to intervene in providing critical support to almost all security formations operating in Lagos State at one time or the other. Some of these security agencies include all of them that operate in Lagos State, and they are all in the brochure or are reached at this time. Most of our interventions are one-off expenditure, except for the IRS, for which we are almost wholly responsible for, and the Lagos State Naval Safety Corps that gets an annual grant from the trust. This grant is used for repairs, service, and procurement of spare parts for their fleet. It should be noted that an estimated 80% of the operational vehicles in use by the police in the last 30 years have improved the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. In fact, the communication equipment, including repeaters for the police and even the State Security Service, were provided through the SSTF. All assets of Operation MESA are also provided by, particularly the vehicles are provided by the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. The Marine Police unit simply cannot exist without the weekly provision of fueling and routine services and repairs of their fleet provided by the trust. The intervention of the fund to security agencies have indeed been vital to their operations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there's a need to emphasize that the mandate of the fund is not to take over the statutory responsibility of the federal government to finance its agencies, which we certainly cannot meet, but to bridge the gaps. However, in some areas, the intervention of the fund have been on a weekly basis in order to ensure the operations of these security agencies are not disrupted, as they almost completely depend on our intervention. We are therefore very grateful to organizations that have continued to contribute to the fund over the years, which enabled us to provide the needed support for the security agencies operating in Lagos State. Permit me to state that to date, Lagos State government has been the largest donor to the trust fund, with a contribution of 60%, while the private sector has done about 40%. It's also pertinent to note that the donation of the state government is solely in kind. Ladies and gentlemen, it is clear that without the intervention of the fund, it will have been very difficult for agencies to carry out their duties, as there is presently no alternative to the LSSTF model as practiced in Lagos. In fact, other states, including the federal government, have replicated our model. The period of lockdown occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic stretched our agencies to their limits as a result of blood clashes, community clashes, and all what we all witnessed in the state. However, the police, with the support of other security counterparts, were able to quell the challenges and restore law and order before the gradual easing of the lockdown. And we must commend the dedication to keeping us safe despite the risks of the pandemic. Just as we thought it would get only better, it got worse as the agitations for the end of police brutality began, and we found ourselves counting our losses. We lost 46 police stations and police posts were either burnt or vandalized, 62 patrol vehicles burnt, while 30 were vandalized. Unfortunately, we lost 6 men, while 106 were injured. It may be pertinent to note that these vehicles, as I speak today, with current value, is in the region of about, to replace these vehicles at this time will cost over 900 million, and to replace about 3 armored personnel carriers that we lost during the protest, the unit costs about 250 million per piece. That's about 750 million to replace 3 vehicles or vehicles. The situation now is that some police assets are in state worse than it was some years ago. The implication of owning a police station is that there is no office for which the police can effectively carry out all their responsibilities. They also have a challenge of communication, as a lot of these equipment have been burnt or vandalized. In summary, almost half of the police divisions in the state do not have an office and not on police communication network, do not have vehicles for mobility. These are key requirements for performing police duties. In addition, the morale of the men are low as they lost colleagues and personal property, from cars, personal effects, uniforms, and all that during the progress. The governor visited the entire command in a bid to uplift their morale, during which several requests were made, and and steps are being taken to address the request, one of which will be seen here today. The increase in criminal activity in the past few weeks is clearly because of damage on the police assets and lethal weapons in possessions of non-state actors. The situation has also emboldened a mass of lawless road users not to adhere to the road traffic regulations, thereby creating more traffic jam, which not only lead to the massive loss of firearms, but also the crimes of opportunity. Commercial motorcyclists, also known as Okada, have also resurfaced in areas where restrictions or ban have been in effect. There is an urgent need to establish law and order and protect lives and property in this very densely populated and organized state. And the fund as a critical intervention mechanism can achieve this, as we have prepared enough knowledge and expertise to profile some of the solutions required through the engagement of critical stakeholders in the security space. However, massive resources are required and security expenditure is huge and recurrent. Also, most of the equipment required by security agencies are imported, and the fluctuating foreign exchange and inflation rates directly impact on their prices, hence the need for negotiations, Friends of Lagos, other concerned stakeholders to join this laudable donation drive. The first step to this is to commit to contributing to the fund in order to restore the lost assets of the police destroyed during the arrest. In line with today's theme and its mandate, the fund has started to advocate for donations to provide much needed support for the police. We have been guests on different radio and TV programs to discuss these issues so that a clear perspective will be tabled. I must say here that we are encouraged by the people who have reached out to us based on these engagements, and I was especially single out Motor Security Limited for calling us up after one of these shows to sympathize with the police and immediately made a very handsome donation. It is such actions that encourage us to keep going, knowing that some good-spirited organizations will respond out of their love for their fellow men, and we implore other organizations to follow this sterling example. Mr. Governor, ladies and gentlemen, the initiative of Mr. Governor on the establishment of the Rebuild Lagos Trust Fund is highly commendable and timely. However, security expenditure is huge and has a recurrent element which cannot wait. So we need all the help we can get at this time. The fund has swiftly swung into action by repairing and refurbishing damaged security assets. Some of the armored personnel carriers who are undergoing repairs. You recall that our troop carriers around the perimeter during the riot were totally destroyed, and were able to fix them within 3 days after we got back to base. We are embarking upon massive refurbishment and repairs of our vehicles to wear and tear, which went on during the lockdown. There's a need to also acquire more equipment, particularly crowd control assets, to forestall future incidents. The fund has engaged extensively with manufacturers of this equipment in South Africa. As going by their past, they have mastered the art of crowd control. The activities of the Trust Fund from 2019 to date, for the last town meeting, the focus of the fund had been the widening of donor base, as only a fraction of the private sector have bought into this model of resourcing security, and we have started to consider a ground crowdfunding option because of the need to develop a very steady and strong financial source of revenue. The creation of security trust funds by many states, as I speak, about 18 states of the Federation now have their own trust funds. And even the federal government has also contributed to the donor fatigue experienced with some of our regular donors, as they now are being targeted for donations by these other trust funds. Security agencies need to deploy technology, require more training, provision of hardware, arms, improved welfare, uniforms. The list is too numerous to mention. In addition, the fund organized on behalf of the state government a security summit in 2018, after which an implementation document was provided for a statewide upgrade of our security architecture and other resourcing strategies. From January 2020 to November 2020, this fiscal year, the fund has only been able to attract just 82.8 billion naira in donations. This is the most dismal recorded since the inception of the fund. We may attribute this to the shutdown during the pandemic, but we've only been able to survive because of the judicial application of funds pledged in 2019, some of which were redeemed in 2020. Specifically in 2020, the fund provided 90 patrol vehicles, fully fitted with backpacking, base radios, and power lights valued at about 1.125 billion, 6 units of 200 horsepower outboard engines, tires, 2,107 vehicles and reboots. All these things we highlighted here may seem very significant, but you imagine that during the rainy season, you don't have police officers having reboots and reboots. I'm sure you know they will not be able to perform their responsibility. So, as mundane as they may seem, they are very important tools for their activities. Also, about 82,741,000 was spent on routine service and repairs of patrol vehicles for the IRS, Marine Police, etc., including refurbishment of vehicles. Further to the recent security challenges during the lockdown, and the unrest following the protest, the fund organized a high-level conference themed Securing Lagos State during and after the COVID-19 pandemic, preparing for the unknown in October 2020, which brought together top security personnel across all security and safety agencies operating in the state. The meeting gave insights to the responses of security agencies and recommendations on how to better coordinate and handle themselves in such unexpected circumstances. It also spoke extensively on the relationship of law enforcement agents with the citizenry, particularly the youths. It should be mentioned that the new Board of Trustees of the Fund also resolved at a strategy meeting in September 2020 to re-strategize this funding approach, and the process is ongoing. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, Lagos is a major entry point into Nigeria and the home for many business concerns like any other state in the country. We are the socio-economic and cultural hub of Nigeria. It is home to the busiest airports, seaports, international gateway to West Africa. We are a resilient, resourceful, and a boisterous people. We have always set the pace for other states to follow in almost every sphere of life. Therefore, we deserve to have a security architecture that can withstand any form of adversity. One of the mandates of the fund is to advise on security issues, a responsibility the fund effectively carries out since its inception over 30 years ago, and has worked closely with security agencies to combat crime in this period, especially being a member of the Lagos Security Council. The Trust Fund projects the implementation of the 2018 Security Summit. That summit was a very robust summit that had people from all walks of life, and also international audience also attended that summit. And at that summit, there's an implementation document which has broken down what needs to be done in every sector of Lagos to achieve comprehensive security cover for the state. It should be noted that the focus of the summit was planning from the future, a concept of ensuring that every possible potential security challenge or threat in the future can be effectively managed. Security consciousness of school children was also considered an implementation document, which suggested that the setting up of security clubs and appointment of security prefects in every school to forestall, what had happened in the past in our schools. The summit also dwelled on the need to incorporate private security companies into securing various neighborhoods, and that no resident of Lagos State is without proper identification, amongst other initiatives. In the face of resource deficits for the police and other agencies that make request to the fund, we have been extremely resourceful in Lagos State. We must stay the course, because this is where we live and carry out our businesses. The stress on the state and its structures, as well as on its institutions, officials, and security agents, are unending. The serious ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Governor, the Lagos State Security Trust Fund has been mandated by law to provide support for these agencies, a function which has been successful at doing for the last 13 years, thereby building the necessary capacity and experience. The prudent management and application of meager resources in line with our core values has also been felt in the entire state. In conclusion, security, as you all know, is a very expensive endeavor, and we all know how much we spend in our various corporations and personal dwellings in this regard. Our security agencies are in their need of basic infrastructure, and equipment to function effectively, we need to come to their aid in a matter of urgency in our collective self-interest. I dare say that the events of the past few weeks have shown us the importance of security to the well-being, prosperity, and progress of the state. Finally, I wish to reiterate the importance of procuring crowd control equipment, integration of private security organizations into our security network, the need to empower and engage our neighborhood safety organizations, particularly the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps, and to ensure that we have a proper identification system of all residents in our entire state. I therefore urge you all here present to kindly make your donations and commitment to the trust fund. I want to thank you very much for your kind attention. At this point, also acknowledge my predecessor, Mr. Fola Adewari, has always been very I want to thank everyone for your kind attention. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year in advance.
And we applaud the ES one more time. No doubt it's been about prudency, accountability, resourcefulness, and trust. Before moving on, may I please request Your Honor to please, let's put our phones on the silent mode. We please beg of us, with all due courtesies, in just a second, let's just put our phones on the silent mode. We'll appreciate that. And I must to bring to our attention that as we speak, we are live streaming, and you can follow us on our social media platforms at follow Lagos State Security Trust Fund, at follow LASD, at Pulse Nigeria 247, and on Twitter, you find us at follow LSTF, hashtag Secure Lagos, to connect with the voice. We are just doing this so that we are compliant with the advancement of technology in changing the narrative of our dynamics in the life of today. Having said this, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Governor, with all due respect, I want to call on Mrs. Oluwashaya Ilumaru, FCA, from Ernst & Young, to give the opinion of this professional body on the Lagos State Security Trust. Madam.
The Executive Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Robert Sanwo-Olu, all protocol duly observed, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The opinion is on pages 29 to 31 of the report we have, and with your permission this afternoon, I would like to take the first two paragraphs. And on the last page on page 31, I will just do the conclusion. Independent auditors report to the trustees of Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Report on the audit of the financial statement. Opinion. We have audited the accompanying financial statement of Lagos State Security Trust Fund, the fund, set out on pages 11 to 54 of the annual report, which includes the statement of financial position as at 31 December 2019, and the statement of income and expenditure, the statement of changes in the net asset value, and the statement of cash flows for the year then ended, the notes to the financial statement, including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement presents fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the fund as at 31 December 2019, and of their financial performance and their cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, the requirements of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund Law, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act No. 6, 2011. Basis of opinion. We conducted our audits in accordance with international standards on auditing, ISOs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the fund in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, ISBA Code, and other independent requirements applicable to performing the audit of Lagos State Security Trust Fund. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the ISBA Code and in accordance with the ethical requirements applicable to performing the audit of Lagos State Security Trust Fund. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. And on page 31, we have the closure signed by me, Shari Lumaru, on behalf of Ernst & Young, Lagos, Nigeria, dated 4th August 2020. Thank you.
And it's been more of a commitment and dedication of service delivery in good governance to the good people of Lagos State. I will want at this point to welcome, but please before I do that again, I need to reiterate that we are streaming live and you can follow us on @follow LSSTF, @follow LASD, @Pulse Nigeria 247, and on Twitter @follow LSSTF. And you can join the conversation live with the hashtag Secure Lagos for you to be part of the discourse. Let me at this point respectfully welcome the Commissioner of Police of Lagos State, CP Akim Odumosu, to give an update on the security situation in Lagos State. Mr. CP, sir.
The governor of Lagos State and the president of the so all other protocols to be observed. We have to come through this. It is a great honor to stand before this because gathering to give the report. So the activities of Lagos State Police Command from October 2019 to November 2020. The job of policing the state, the economic of the nation, and what they all understand, the mind city has been challenged. So this was further compounded by the outbreak of coronavirus disease within the period and its attendant consequences on the socio-economic, political activities and security needs of the states, in particular, and the nation in general. There was a zeal for the officers and men of the command, coupled with the support received from the Secretary of Police, IGP Adamu Mohammed, MNI, the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Wajidolu Soda, through Lagos State Security Trust Fund, and the good people of the states, it would have been practically impossible to record the achievements for which we are here gathered today. The command is privileged to have a governor who has an unmatched passion to create a enabling environment for the police and other security agencies to fight crimes and criminalities held on in the states. He has not only provided the necessary logistics for officers and men of the command to discharge their responsibilities effectively, he has also continued to make available a steady stream of financial support to post their money for optimum service delivery. In addition, the continuous logistics contribution to the police, such as patrol vehicles, motorcycles, raincoats, rainboots, traffic reflective jackets, etc. by the Lagos State Security Trust Fund since inception in 2008 has known that reposition the command, motivated its personnel, and enhanced its capacity to effectively maintain law and order in the state. So the outbreak of COVID-19 and the need to contain further spread of the virus after the index case was recorded on 27 February 2020 in the state changed the analysis of policing the state during the period. It was a period in which available human and material resources and the disposal of the command were intensively overstretched. In order to ensure strict compliance with presidential lockdown order and other preventive protocols of COVID-19, the command emplaced roadblocks at points of entry and exit and other strategic locations within the states. It embarked on intensive patrol of the metropolis and other points of the states. Worship centers, shopping malls, markets, entertainment centers, eateries, and other places were closely monitored and compliance enforced. So the first alarm of our boys and faceless 1 million boys attacking the neighborhood across the states was promptly tackled through community engagement, joint patrols by security agencies, and normalcy restored. Violators of the lockdown order were arrested and prosecuted accordingly. Also, some watering centers, clubs, and eateries are sold up and cases handled by relevant government agencies. So private and commercial vehicles that around follow the protocols COVID imposed were contraband. In all, 2,074 private and 902 commercial vehicles were impounded. 664 tricycles and 9,859 motorcycles were seized. Similarly, 4,419 suspects were arrested during the period. On the figure, 500 suspects were carried out, while other 3,919 were prosecuted. Mr. Copeland, in his magnanimity, ordered the release of some of the vehicles within the first phase of the lockdown, while others were made to pass through the rudiments of the law. The law and the analysis of the command's activities during the period. Say that. So, while we are discussing the palliatives which the government gave to encourage the police officers during palliative, so during the COVID-19 protocols. So still the same thing. So in order to enforce putting up COVID-19 protocol of everybody now wearing masks, people the suspects that were arrested, so we give them masks. So they are arrested without putting on masks. So this is still part of the palliative distribution to some violators of COVID-19 protocols arrested for holding religious service during the lockdown. And here too, program here was, while we are working on other security agencies in addressing and inflicting confidence members of the public, where they have this problem of faceless 1 million boys. That's a big side. There too, so it's really continuation to other security agencies of addressing members of the public about the so-called million boys who are succeeded to arrested putting fear to their mind. Now, we have a situation in Lagos State. The current statistics from October 2019 even to November 2028 has assumed a downward trend compared to what was recorded this year. Crimes and criminalities have not only been tackled head on, but effectively reduced to the highest level. This is attributed to the diligence, proactiveness, courage, and dexterity displayed by the officers and men on command in the course of deciding their duties. We can say, without mentioning words, that with the necessary tools so far provided to work with, the command has lifted its shoulders high among others, as attested to by the following few high points of its achievements. So the summary is there. You see from October 19 to up to the September, so the total number of armed robbers arrested to our 1,191. The total number of armed robbers, so they have lost their life during the encounter, 27. The total number of arms recovered, 913. That's a number from the society. So the total number of ammunition, that's rounds of ammunition, 244. And then December, so the number of kidnappers, because we made Lagos State so a place of no good for kidnappers. So since the person that will tackle them, so they're not going to raise their head against Lagos. So number of civil, the court is arrested, 5 is 1. So that is what have brought their men down. So number of vehicles recovered, 40 for the period, which that our activities now in reducing vehicle stolen is paying off. The number of vehicles stolen qualified. So the number of vehicles recovered from stolen from park 31. Then vehicles driven away by the drivers only one. So we have all this down the line, don't always push line. So the same analysis we had in the following one now, so to December to October. Increase. We can compare to that October 18, 2019, and this year now, we'll see the decrease. So the number of the increase now, 84 points. Number of armed robbers arrested. Because of the onslaught that we have now, we have increase in threats, we have the reduction in that. So the table is self-explanatory. It just is translated into my charts here. The figure that I have. So the same thing is with the graph. So that I have comparative analysis of statistics. So from this time, I realized that we have achieved more within that period. So that what we had last year. So the pie charts is still the same reflection of the statistics given earlier. So that we don't waste much time up. So the Augustus stores, the same thing in the pie chart there. So the achievements, the highlights recorded during the period. So arrest the suspected cultists. So right from September 2019 at about, so 19 hours, 16 suspected cultists were arrested during the initiation of their new members at the Ikorodu and Lagos State. And we recovered 9 officer locally made pistols, 2 cartridges, customized air proprietary barrels, and 1 iron bar. So we have them in the picture here, composite picture. So the access covered during the session, I got there. Still on assault from cultists. On 4th December 2019, about 21 hours, the digital score was received from Adekunle and Papa area. As a hoodlums suspected to be members of Eye confraternity were having their handing over ceremony. During this, 6 males and 3 female suspected members were arrested by the police. So we have recovered 2 laptops, 5 phones, 8 cutlasses, battle axes, and some other dangerous weapons. All the suspects have been charged to court and remanded appropriately. So then after the shows all the things go out of them. So then there is this gang just coming up. So they call themselves Father Gang cultists. So they're just of teenage girls, that's the members of that club. So on 10 December 2019 at about 22 hours, based on judgment of 9 members of the newly formed Father Gang confraternity, who are mainly teenage girls, so were arrested at Bariga area while initiating new members. So you can see the photograph, only teenagers. That's their own members. So they said you can no longer take instruction from the AF confraternity and IEO. So these are the people that were arrested. And because most of them are teenagers now, So they are taking the context. They are managed whether the community services. Now, arrest of other suspects. 8 December 2019, one done at home, male and a Cameroonian and wife named Bernadette Ahu, female, were allegedly attacked and robbed by one another male called K and Akande Madeyinka in their residence at flat 7A number 2 Lugard Avenue, Kogi, Lagos. So the wife died on the spot as a result of injury inflicted on her by the hoodlums after brutally raping her while the husband survived the attack. The suspect has since been arrested and charged to court. So these are the suspects in that incident. Then arrest of suspected drug peddlers and recovery of psychotropic substances. On 27/1/2020 at about 08 hours, 4 suspected drug peddlers, namely Femi Koyinka, aged 4 years, so some Chukwu Sudi, so just 42. During this now, they were arrested in possession of hard drugs at the area. I'm just trying to complete the cause of that factor. 42 cartons of banned substances suspected to be tramadol of 225. So mega each were recovered. So these are the suspects, and the recovered item there for them, tramadol, cartons of tramadol. The same recovery of arms. So at Alabado, they went, they robbed the bank, so they robbed hotel, at this hotel in Alabado area. Then they moved from Mushi, Yoro, to go there. The intelligence report now, we are able to arrest them. They recovered 2 locally made guns and 4 unrestricted cartridges. So these are the members arrested. So we went to Alabado to commit the crime, they were arrested at Mushi. Another set of armed robbers were arrested on 10th January at about 14 social hours. So that's where we have one family Toyota saloon car, so which is stolen from the victim recovered. Suspect had been charged to court. So this photograph of the suspect was the vehicle that stole from the victim. So the company and arrest of armed robbers, so shotguns, 4 cartridges, and 0.9 ammunition were recovered. So as when we have a follow-up, so that is photograph of armed robbery suspect arrested in the area with all the weapons out of them. So we still have court. So 16 January 2022 about 012 hours. 17 hoodlums suspected members of the fraternity were arrested at Jora under the bridge. Why shooting new members? So where we recovered battle axes, light units of weight, so they returned to court for these activities. So we still recover from them. So they are already facing the law. So burglars recovered of tools, not many of them. So it's asking. So here now, that is the case of Nigeria. We are arrested while breaking the shop at Malone Market for this Malone Market in Lagos. So during this period, I have 97 pairs of shoes were recovered, 20 bottles of fabrics, children wears, ladies wear, and bags. So these people are from Cotonou. So once they get this one, the most drink Cotonou through the water. So we're able to get it from Cotonou, so and got them arrested with their blues. So armed robberies, recovery of arms too. So this is another set. So that we arrested at the hideout, their member. So during that, we recover 4 local made pistols and 3 cartridges. So we have all this one in the photograph. So armed robbery suspects 2 arrested. So 1 Caretta pistol, 4 live ammunition. So the photographs are there. So at Arsenal Road, so cultists, this is of April. So we arrested another set of 14 suspected Dayen fraternity cultists. 2 arrested at still the group area. 1 locally made pistol, 3 cartridges. So and absence were. One man was there since 4 years ago. Father got children for 4 years old, about 5 and a guy. They were investigated and suspects, so there's the suspects that raped a little girl of 4 years old. So that's the rapist. So serving his name with the law. Now another rapist was arrested. So as from the people who raped and neglected his daughter. So named and these are the suspects in that case. The set of bodies where we cover 10 locally made people. So that's why we need now to get product out of courtesy. So 5 lab packages. So these are what we cover from them. Courtesy, this compatibility and control artists. Nodules are stolen. Facilitated 340-foot containers laden with banned hard substances. On side the containers, 903 cartons of tramadol, valued at 14 billion, 512 million naira, and other drugs are recovered. Suspects are arrested and is being charged to court accordingly. Residents are later handed over to the customs, for smugglers at the port, then Delhi and London. So this suspect here and the suspect victim advocated the rest of the family 1 year contract to court. Now we have one notorious man who called himself Ogunteru. So a satellite town who are looking for him. On 18/20/18/17/20, the same accused member of Ogunteru community, satellite town, one Latif Olaribi, aged 72 years, was arrested by the command following several complaints of barefaced extortions, properties and converting them to his and gang members' schools, notorious for chasing away, even arresting and detaining state and local government officials on revenue drive from his kingdom. Something that we try to come. So, curiously, that's the photograph of the man claimed to be self-acclaimed king, and these are his immediate children with whom he perpetrated that act. Was arrested. So at Lagos area, someone stabbed the victim on the chest with a knife, where the suspect and the victim died, so they arrested him. So the department rape, murder, or favor arrested. Because they arrested some people that have penchant of vandalizing our railway tracks. So we arrested them, railway lines vandals, and these are items that they vandalized. So at the railway track there. So the case has since far been transferred to the railway command, so for thorough investigation. So their own is removing the tracks, so and causing more havoc. So robbery suspects, recovery of acts and donation continues. So here now, those who will be seen arrested. So most of our mentioned. These are the photographs of people arrested, and as much as they are for, and there's been to come out from them. Now, NSAS protest. And 3 police barracks were bombed, while some others were vandalized. Also, some public and private facilities were set ablaze, while some were vandalized and looted. So this includes head office of Nigerian Port Authority Marina, Magistrate High Court, and Court of Appeal Complex, Ikotere Lagos, DNA and Forensic Center, Broad Street, Lagos, BRT terminals at Ido and Ojodu, I think of local government secretariat among others. The Palace of Port Lagos, Yadudana, Circle Mall Monkey, LTP Atasa, TBC, so Ikosi, Samsung outlets at Akura and Manchester, and in Buhana House. In all, 1,350 suspects that suspectedly participated in mayhem were charged and arrested. Out of this number, 80 were screened out, 32 are still under intensive investigation, while the remaining 1,238 have been charged in court and being prosecuted by Lagos State Ministry of Justice. Despite the drama that my police was now went through, we are not deterred. The men have been mobilized back to bombs police facilities in order not to create security vacuum, while other polling places were reclaimed by the command. The officers and men of the command will not relent in our collective efforts to track down the hoodlums that perpetrated the heinous crimes, recover their loot, and make them face the law. I encourage all stakeholders to cooperate with the police in this regard. The law and pictorial evidences of some of the one police facilities in Lagos, thus Ajah Police Station, the Lassa Maja Police Station, then Makinde Police Station bonds, so the same thing is of police station at Akeke, then the same Makinde Barracks that was born in the Ajah Command Headquarters at Ajah. Now, suspects arrested in connection with violence 7, child abuse 18. So these cases were reported through referrals from domestic and sexual violence response team of Lagos Ministry of Justice, Alausa, and complaint lodged at appropriate police formations in states. So the gender unit partners with other institutions such as Mirabel Center, always supporting the development of women affairs and other stakeholders, was ensuring diligent investigation and prosecution of cases. Some of these cases have earlier been highlighted because of this institution. Community policing. In furtherance to the implementation of the concept of community policing across work, in line with federal government directives and the policy trust of the Supreme Police, IDP and Amman Employment 9 MPL, the command adopted community-based policing as policing strategy and philosophy. On 3rd of June 2020, the State Community Policing Advisory Committee and State Community Policing Committee were inaugurated by Mr. Governor Sawai Kujo at Banquet Hall, State House, Alausa Ikeja. Also on 25th, 6th, 2020, all the federal commands, Community Policing Advisory Committees, and local government community policing committees were inaugurated at the police officers' Mexico. So thereafter, on 26th, 2020, the divisional community policing committees were inaugurated at federal command headquarters in the states. The process of recruiting special constabularies who will run the community policing projects has started across the states. The successful candidates will be trained at the selected police training institutions in the country, so especially Lagos State, the police college in Kenya for the Lagos State participants. So the police cannot succeed in our core mandate without the support and trust of the citizens. We are engaged to serve and protect regardless of how well equipped, trained, and motivated we are. So the command is immediately seeking the continuous support of all stakeholders in the state to achieve a seamless implementation of the policy in the interest of all and sundry. Enforcement of State Traffic Law 2018. So the command in effectively enforcing the section 111 of the State Traffic Law 2018 has of recent embarked on crackdown on violators who have ventures for driving against traffic, disobeying traffic lights, regulations, flying on BRT corridors, etc. To fully combat this, as a one-way section has been created by the state task force on environmental offences units and the governor's monitoring team. Equally, the enforcement unit of the state last month has been strengthened for this assignment. Additionally, one-way teams have been set up across the police area command level, which comprises police, LASMA, Federal Road Safety Corps personnel. Mobile calls and media outreach often accompany these teams while on the enforcement. This is for instant trials as well as using the media to further publicize the need for compliance by the public. Within a few days of this operation, as of Friday, 20 November 2020, to this end, law-abiding members of the public are hereby assured of the security of their lives and properties, while lawbreakers from either leave the state or the right to have their day with the law. So it's a pertinent conclusion to place on record that the suspects in all the cases mentioned above have been charged to court for competent institution accordingly. So the command earnestly appreciates the government and the good people of Lagos State for their continuous and unfailing support, which has immensely assisted the command to record the modest feats highlighted during this presentation. So the command is using this medium to implore all Lagosians to commit to the law-abiding, particularly by obeying all traffic rules and regulations, including traffic lights. All hands are on deck to ensure that the forthcoming U5 system is issue-free. So finally, in order to facilitate this communication between the command and members of the public, the feeder lines are made available for the public to contact police on all these issues. So at this stage, it's important to say that some of the achievements about the war, the numerated war couldn't have been achieved without the collaboration and cooperation of other stakeholders in the security architecture of the state, especially other security services. To this end, I want to ultimately express the appreciation of the command to all the security personnel, other sister security agencies, for their selfless services, making the state safe. So, selfless. So So the officers are men of Lagos Police Command, other than what we not rest in our cause towards ensuring watertight security to keep the state safe at all times. So long live Lagos State, long live the Republic of Nigeria, and thanks all for that attention. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Please, can we applaud the resolution? It's been very tough a task. It's been a very rough road to ride. It's been a very challenging drive as well and responsibility. But in it all, we have been resilient, and our resilience has taken us this far, and we're not going to relent. We thank you one more time, CP. Mr. Governor, sir, what is left to do is to take a few questions, and we have it that will not exceed, whichever directive, Mr. Governor, will not exceed just 7 questions, so that Mr. Governor can speak, then we can take all the things. So while we say that the CP should still be there to take questions, I will want to start here. Just 7 questions, please. We take 1 row each to ensure that we have complied with democratic settings, as it says. So do I have anyone from this side, please? Just indicate I'll come to you. Please, no questions? Fantastic. It means we've all been in together. And then we must thank Mr. Governor for a job well done. CP will thank you too. Well, thank you. Well, thank you. So on these notes, our very eminent guest, it goes to say something here that the Chief Incident Commander, Mr. Governor, has really done a great job. You want to give Mr. Governor this round of applause. And so let's please hear him speak. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome Mr. Governor to please address this occasion.
Thank you very much. I think the CP deserves another round of applause.
Sure.
Because it's a security event, Chinese accommodate all the security officers. Speaker of the House of Assembly, here he will be represented by Honorable Najim Adams. Thank you very much for taking our time to be with us this afternoon. Members of the State Executive Council, especially the ones that are also members of the Security Trust Fund, Chief of Staff, our uncle, one of the people that started what we're seeing here today, Alhaji Muslims. Thank you very, very much for guidance and support to all of us. Chairman of our party,